It was Pacino at his finest. The scene was the locker room of the Miami Sharks in an Oliver Stone classic, Any Given Sunday. By the end of the scene, Pacino had delivered his Game of Inches halftime speech, arguably one of the greatest motivational monologues in cinema history. The background is a classic sports movie. The down-and-out Miami Sharks are fighting for their lives in a playoff game not going their way. The individual members of the team are their own worst enemies, as much as any opponent, and deep down, they all know it. Pacino opens hard, telling the room flatly that they're in hell, and the room can feel it. They were. And then Pacino pivots in a way that can only occur by an actor of his measure. A discussion about football turns into something much deeper about life itself. The team isn't kids or college rookies. These are grown men dealing with life as much as football. In that moment, Pacino knows it. All he has now of that part of his life are the memories and lessons of failure. And so he literally opens his soul to his team. He doesn't coach them, he confesses to them. He tells them in plain terms about the wreckage of his own choices, the money he threw away, the people he drove out of his life, the fact that he can barely look himself in the mirror some mornings. He tells them that life takes things from you as you get older, and that you only really start learning that once you start losing them. But the power of the speech isn't in his confession. It's the power of sharing what Pacino is learning from his own confession, almost in real time as he shares it with his team. That's when the speech turns to inches. He tells them that life, like football, comes down to margins so small, most people never notice them. Half a step, half a second, the difference between making the play and missing it entirely. The inches, he says, are everywhere, in every play, every minute, every second of the game. In that moment, in a way that can only be conveyed by bearing the soul of one person's life, Pacino had explained what's really relevant in life. The only thing. Life is the sum of all the little inches, just like football, and his team heard it. But the greatness of the monologue doesn't stop there. If it did, the relevance would be limited to one man, one life. True relevance touches deeper than any one life, and that's how Pacino concludes. He turns the speech away from himself entirely and points it back at the team, telling them that the man they're about to see on the field is the one who will fight for every inch alongside them, because that's what it means to be a team. Either you heal together or you die separately. And then he leaves them with a single direct question. What are they going to do? And then in unison, the team erupted. Without ever speaking a word, the team affirmed that true relevance isn't limited to an individual choice. It's a human one, the most basic one of all. Everything that ever truly mattered in life must pass that measure first. Pacino's words were what the Miami Sharks needed at that moment, and it delivered. But with time and perspective, one realizes Pacino's speech isn't limited by the confines of football or sport. It is a realization of the meaning of relevance in life itself. A realization that can only be offered by Pacino through the general knowledge he learned in the totality of a human life, every success and every failure. A quarter century has rolled on since that speech was delivered into cinema history. What made it land wasn't cleverness. It was the weight of an entire lifetime of hard-won knowledge distilled into a single scene. So here's the question the world now forces on us. What happens to that kind of knowledge when it becomes instant, free, and available to anyone the moment they ask? A world that can answer almost any question in seconds begs the question of whether anyone will ever need a Game of Inches speech again. Why sit through the long explanation when the short one is right there? Pacino's speech may be from a fictional character in a fictional movie, but the world offers real explanations for the change now underway. If general knowledge itself was becoming instant and free, the first place to watch the transformation actually play out was the one company that made exactly that its mission, decades before AI existed. Almost a year after Pacino's speech, a new company was created, Wikipedia, that carried with it the weight of human relevance. There were no shareholder dividends, no paid authors, a simple mission to record and profess the sum of all human knowledge and experience by humans for all of humanity. Wikipedia's success was like nothing ever seen before. The open source encyclopedia model defeated the for-profit Encarta, backed by one of the largest corporations in the world, Microsoft. Wikipedia climbed to the 5th most visited website on Earth. No user fees, just the proliferation of human knowledge by humans. What fueled that success was simple. Millions of volunteer editors, each able to see their own relevance by visiting the very article they'd helped build. And on the other side, a consumer with a boundless library at their fingertips, free of charge. The only real cost was the time spent reading. But then the world changed. What is now offered by AI doesn't require the effort of reviewing an article. Now merely ask the question and the answer is given. It feels like real progress, and in the moment, it's not wrong. If you need an answer, AI can provide it, faster than the world has ever seen. Wikipedia has felt the change, declining at 8% per year in people visiting the website. That's not a collapse, that's Pacino's game again, an inch at a time, every year until one day the distance traveled is impossible to ignore. The net impact is billions and billions less people now visiting Wikipedia. With the decline in viewers brings the decline in volunteer editors, as their connection of relevance to those viewers reading their efforts slowly diminishes. It begs the question, is Wikipedia still relevant? By objective glance, I've already explained why it's not, but a glance never really shows the full picture. When AI generates an answer, it has to go somewhere within our World Wide Web, and most of those places are built on a slanted perspective, not a true human baseline foundation. Wikipedia's true relevance in providing a foundation for an AI world has arguably never been more relevant than now, but the connection of that relevance has never felt more removed. Wikipedia's survival isn't the monetary cost of running the website. It's the human cost of those that volunteer their time toward a mission of relevance that they see. Yet seeing that relevance is becoming harder each day. The real question on Wikipedia's survival will be whether the proliferation of human knowledge by humans remains tangibly relevant. The story of Wikipedia offers a unique insight into the quest for human relevance itself. And the real question for human survival will be whether we can find our relevance. The competition for what's now relevant is steep. Each moment of competition, a battle on what the new world will look like. The wars of relevance have already begun, and most of us are unaware the wars have even started. These battles are on display every day in the most basic aspects of life. At every family dinner table, as communication devices slowly eclipse the primacy of a dinner conversation between family members. At places of employment, as the meaning of work is redefined away from a physical location with less human connection. In the transactions of everyday life, as the relevance of money itself is being redefined. The vast majority of us are not combatants in these wars, but reactionary spectators as the inches of what constitute life are quietly rewritten. Our only real response is often to reminisce about a world where these battles didn't exist. But we don't really reminisce about an error. We reminisce about a moment, a first step, a first kiss, a final goodbye. Moments define what it means to be human. The trouble is, moments have two weaknesses. The first, they erase the hardship that surrounded them, leaving only the fairy tale version of the joy. The second, a moment lives in one time and place. In a rapidly changing world, that singularity doesn't offer a solution. It offers a comfortable place to hide from the harder choice of what's actually relevant now. My own moment is a childhood bicycle ride without an iPhone, without a parent's constant worry, a world that felt freer. My father still reminds me it wasn't quite as free as I remember. That's the trap. Comparing this changing world to my moment doesn't clarify anything. It just leaves me standing still. But moments are only ever one frame in a much longer reel. Childhood, marriage, children, loss, new arrivals, each one its own adventure and change. Measured against the whole of that reel, the change in front of us now is nothing new. As humans, we were built for exactly this. The inches haven't gone anywhere, they're just showing up in different places now. A dinner table where the phone comes out before the food does. A workplace where connection is optional. A transaction that no longer needs a face attached to it. Pacino never asked his team to win the game. He asked them to fight for the inches, together, because that's what a team does. The wars of relevance ask the same of us, not as a team on a field, but as a species deciding what still deserves our attention. So the question isn't whether the wars have begun. They have. The only question left is Pacino's. What are you going to do?